In today's video, I'm going to teach you how I pulled off this transition in Adobe Premiere Pro. So this is going to be an advanced masking tutorial, and there's three main reasons why. The first is filming the scenes needs to be precise. Every inch of my body needs to be as close as possible in both the first scene and the second. The closer you can get them to match, the better this transition is going to look. Number two, we'll also be masking my face to help the transition blend just a tad bit more. And number three, this shot was just a little tough. So our sun was going down so quick in this shot, so our mask background that we're going to be using was a slightly different color. We didn't have as much hazy sunlight coming through the grass. And on top of that, our arms are interlocking. So to pull off this effect, we need to mask Allie out, but we can't mask out her arm without masking out my arm. Nearly every shoot comes with its own outside variables that are out of your control, whether that's the sunlight going down, the location, you name it. There's always going to be something that makes it a little bit more tough. And I think this is a great example of that, where we had enough footage to make this effect and transition work. But again, like most shoots, it wasn't done perfectly, which I actually think is great for the sake of this tutorial. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into Adobe Premiere Pro and get this tutorial started. There's really three main clips here. We have our in the field shot, we have our mask background, and we also have our diner scene. So here's what everything should look like when we're done editing. So let's start this from the beginning. We have this first clip right here in the field, and I just want to match up this match cut real quick. So we can tell this match cut isn't looking very good right now. I'm quite a bit smaller in the second scene, which actually, a pro tip real quick, we filmed the second scene after we did the first, and we purposely zoomed out just a little bit because we didn't remember exactly how far we were in the field shot, and we wanted to give us room to punch in the clip later. So that's why we're a little bit zoomed out here. So now we want to just find the point in time where we want that cut to happen. So right about here, that's a pretty good point right there. And now what I want to do is just zoom in this clip. Now in order to do this, I'm going to drop my opacity down to 75%. This is going to allow me to see what's going on so I can overlay myself perfectly. Now we can tell that my head's a lot smaller. So let's just scale this in and bring it up a little bit. That might be too big now, and we just want to line this up as best as we possibly can. So let's bring our opacity back and let's see how this transitions. That's pretty good. That looks really nice right there. So now let's go ahead and bring in our mask background. Just like we just did, we want to overlap this so it lines up perfectly. As we can tell, the tripod or something must have shifted just a little bit, and now this is slightly off. We can tell by the trees in the background. Obviously where Allie and I are standing doesn't really matter. We're standing, we're moving around. But the trees in the background, we want to match those up. So once you finally get it perfectly, you should be able to just scroll back and forth on the opacity tab, 0 to 100%, look at the trees and the bushes in the background, and not see anything change. It just looks like Allie's disappearing and I'm slightly shifting. That's exactly what we're looking for. So now we're ready to get masking. We're gonna start by clicking our opacity 4-point mask, the little square one, and I'm going to drag that right over where Allie is standing. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger, angle it slightly, and we noticed Allie's here in the corner as well. That's one of the biggest reasons why we should have had her completely out of the frame. But again, this is what makes it more of an advanced editing tutorial, because sometimes you just gotta work with the footage you got. So I'll drag that in a little bit, pull these up, and let's take a look at that. It obviously looks a little funky. It doesn't look the best. One of the biggest reasons for that is we have the mask completely sharp, and we need to add some feather to help it blend in a little bit more. Now let's look at our arms specifically. What I want to do here to help blend it in a little bit better is I want to move the mask into the tree a little bit. When the mask is fading out over to my body, we can clearly see our hands because the sky's in the background and it's making the outline look really bad. But if we pull it in a little bit and try to hide ourselves with the tree a little bit more, it becomes a lot harder to spot because it's blending into the background. Now Allie's face is starting to come in there now, so I'm going to add a transformation point and then mask that right out of there. So it comes in a little bit and then comes back out. So the idea I had behind the shot was to have Allie glitching out. I didn't want it to be one hard cut, and especially with us holding onto each other's arms, I wanted to distract the viewer a little bit more. So what we're going to do with this is very simple. I'm just going to cut a few frames out of the mask. So let's watch that back. And there's something about this simple glitch effect that really makes her arms, when they're coming off my hands, it makes it look so much more realistic. And all we had to do was cut out a few frames, which brings me to the final step, masking my face. So this one is going to be a little difficult, so stick with me here. We're gonna come over here to our final 5 frames before it cuts to the diner scene. What I'm going to do here is create a circular mask and mask right over my face. Now this isn't going to be perfect, but if we do this right, it should help transition this a little bit smoother. So I really don't want to show anything but my face. I don't want any of the background in there. And the reason I'm doing this is I just want it to be a very subtle lighting shift on my face. That's it. So let's feather this to make it very hard to see. Scale it down a little bit. And we can also see I'm moving a little bit. I'm moving backwards, so we need to keyframe this mask as well. So let's go here, click toggle animation on mask path. And what I'm going to do is just move backwards just a little bit because I'm not moving in the diner scene. I'm only moving in the field scene. Barely, hardly needs to shift. It's not going far. It's going to look a little weird, but just hang with me. What we're going to do is drop the opacity down to, say, max 50%. And then I'm going to add a keyframe on our opacity, set the opacity to start at 0%. And when we play this back, we can see my face just lights up a little bit. Now, really the only other thing that I'd want to do to help enhance this effect is add a little bit more contrast with the colors. So I'm going to go into effects, grab a Lumetri color, pull that on to both the field and the diner clip. And what I want to do here is just make our field clip a lot warmer than our diner clip. So we'll come down to our diner clip and make that nice and cool. Because in this film, we're creating the illusion that this guy wants to ask this girl for her number. He's envisioning their whole life together, but he just doesn't have the nerve to do it. So when it comes back to this moment at the diner, we want it to feel cooler. It's no longer warm, it's no longer happy. We have cool tones coming. And this is going to help us create contrast, and it's gonna help that punch and that transition feel a lot harder. It really is the small things that add up to make the biggest differences. And after that, you should have yourself an effect or transition that looks something like this. I really like this masking effect because it helps tell a better story. It's helping us create more emotion in the film. And I think whenever you can use things like masking or fun effects or transitions to help tell a better story, that's when it can really make the biggest difference. So whether you're planning to use this technique in an upcoming travel film, a wedding film, or maybe even your own short film, I'm sure it'll help you tell a better story and make your film stand out. As always, make sure to leave a comment down below of how you plan to use this masking effect in Adobe Premiere Pro for yourself in one of your upcoming videos. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.